Centuries ago, in a misty province where lakes lay hidden under veils of fog and mountains stood silent and watchful, there lived a man of keen mind and burning ambition. He held a high position in the imperial court, a role that never let him rest. His days were spent building and guarding power, shaping policies, balancing fragile alliances, always watching his back against the quiet knives of rivals. He wore the weight of his position like heavy armor, essential but tiring. His mind was never still. It ran constantly, calculating moves, spotting threats, planning counterstrikes. One afternoon, the pressure became unbearable. A negotiation had stalled, a colleague had slipped a barbed insult under the surface of polite words, and something inside him finally snapped. He needed to get away from people, from voices, from everything. So he walked down to the lake's edge, untied a small wooden skiff, pushed off and rowed hard enough to leave the court and its noise far behind. He headed toward the middle of the lake, where the fog grew thick and the silence felt almost solid. He wanted to meditate. He wanted his famous composure back. As he drifted deeper into the white haze, the shore disappeared. There was only gray water below and gray sky above. He drew in his legs, closed his eyes, and tried to quiet his mind. But stillness doesn't come easily to someone whose life depends on never letting his guard down. Even here, alone in the middle of nothing, his head was still full of noise, replaying arguments, composing sharp replies, imagining the perfect revenge on those who had crossed him. Physically, he was isolated. Mentally, he was still surrounded. Then came the jolt. Something slammed into his boat with real force, hard enough to nearly pitch him into the icy water. In an instant, meditation was gone. Years of court-honed instinct took over. Rage flared up before he even knew what had happened. Someone had hit him, some careless fisherman, some drunk merchant, someone who clearly didn't look where they were going. It felt personal. Do they not see me, he thought? Do they not know who I am? How dare they ruin the one moment of peace I've managed to steal? The anger surged, hot and familiar, the same heat that rose whenever a project dragged, whenever someone interrupted him, whenever he felt disrespected. He already had the words ready, a perfectly aimed, high-status explosion that would leave the fool on the other boat stammering and small. He clenched his fists, filled his lungs, and snapped his eyes open to deliver it. The words never came. There was no fisherman, no merchant, no one. Just an old, weathered boat, paint peeling, half full of rainwater. It had broken free from its mooring somewhere upstream and drifted down on the current and the wind until it struck his skiff by chance. He stood there, mouth open, fists still raised, staring at an empty bench. The lake's silence poured back in, louder than any shout. In that strange, hollow moment, he saw himself clearly. The fury he'd felt seconds earlier had seemed completely justified, completely necessary, because he'd had a target, but now there was no target. You can't curse a piece of wood. You can't threaten the wind. It was just two boats meeting on water. Physics, nothing more. And then the deeper truth hit him, cold and clean as the lake itself. The anger hadn't come from the other boat. The other boat had only bumped the trigger. The anger had been waiting inside him the whole time, loaded, ready, searching for someone to aim at. If there had been a man in that boat, he would have unloaded every bit of stress, frustration, and wounded pride onto him. He would have been certain that man was the cause. But because the boat was empty, he couldn't pretend anymore. The fire was his. He slowly sat back down. The adrenaline ebbed away, leaving behind a deep, trembling stillness. He understood something he had never quite seen before. Almost everyone he dealt with back on shore was an empty boat. The colleague with the cutting email, the superior who changed demands without warning, the subordinate who failed to deliver. They weren't crashing into him to wound him. They were just drifting, carried by their own currents, their own winds, their own invisible storms. He couldn't control the currents. He couldn't steer every boat that floated past. He could only keep his own boat steady. For the first time in years, he didn't just sit in the silence. He became part of it.